All right, I think we are live here, and I've once again set up something so that I can kind of see the chat at least. Okay, so once again, I'm just going to be fiddling around with a Hellenika Hinnom build of trying to do the most disgusting Hellbless Seir rush. Um, and the goal of this is to use the new Hellenika Hinnom abilities, in particular Melkart's ability to pillage your own territory to get golden slaves, blood slaves, to accelerate out a Turbo Seir strategy and then try and run over enough players that you can then have a huge blood economy and try and close the game out with blood. It's definitely not going to be a late game build in any sense. So the first, there's a couple pieces which are making the actual expansion work, which is a little bit tricky. The second part, of course, is figuring exactly what I want from the bless. So I'm going to go ahead and show the bless here real quick, and I'll show it a bunch more times as we go through here. I'm still very much trying to figure out exactly what it is we need to get out of the bless. Because I'm not sure. We have an incarnate, so it feels wrong not to take some incarnate stuff. Our Seir are kind of big, but not huge. But still, Regent Bloodbond is going to do a lot to increase their survivability, especially if we then put some Undying on top of them. The weird part of this, right, so you can see it's min scales except for two places. We have growth 1. What I have growth 1 on here for is the rebirth effect that you find in Hellenika, but also in other games that just have the rebirth mod in there. And that is that provinces with no population or very low population will recover population. I think it is 10% per candle chance to recover about 250 population, and then that's doubled under 500 and halved up until like 1350 or something. And then it stops working some point after that. But what we are going to hope to do with it is keep it online long enough that we're essentially gonna send our milk carts through. They're gonna eat the whole population, and then we're gonna let those provinces have a little bit of time. If they're getting back 250 on average, we need them to have about 1250. So we need about 5 ticks to make it count. And at 40% chance, 40% down to 20% at points, right? It's going to take like 10 something turns. And then when we do that, right, that's going to give us the ability to march the mail card in there, pick up 200 something gold, and 20 to 30 blood slaves. I don't know if that's worth it or not. It definitely may be the case that we're better off just ditching the rest of this growth and picking up more bless points. Things we could definitely want. One of these Undying should probably be an Undead Command, but we could certainly take more Undying. You could also take like Stygian Skin, which isn't great long term. People find magic weapons, but early game, we're going for an early game sort of bless, and the Seir have pretty garbage protection, so that would help go a long way. Now it's probably less necessary because we have Regent Bloodbond. They're already going to be, I think, a lot more survivable than they would otherwise be. I'm a little bit worried. We have +3 defense, we have +4 attack. Those are fine. We have fire attack resistance. I think the fire resistance is definitely critical because we're going to be our backup casters early on are going to be our Kohen, mostly casting Hellfire, and without fire resistance, that can definitely deal some big damage to the Seir. Magic weapons, I think, is obviously it's just necessary. So this is what we're testing with right now. But I'm going to come back here. Hopefully, we get some more people and look at this again and see if we can get some suggestions on if people think that there's better options. Currently, we have the Crone for the Master Ritualist, but I think you could also try and finagle this into the what's his face, the dude who gives the research bonus, because we're gonna have Drain 3, so our research is gonna be really bad, and so just that extra little bit could help a lot. The Great Sage, but in any event, that's what we're going to start testing with. Oops, can't do that. I have to pick a generic. Because those maps were made with Hellenika. Yes, Bloodbond does trigger Berserk, which means we need to be really careful with our mages. Because they are also sacred. So that is is something to watch out for. We're gonna need to make sure we have good positioning. Otherwise, we're gonna have a lot of Berserk Kohens running in, and that is not. Oh no, I'm sorry. That's not Berserk. Never mind. Ignore me. Yes, it's perfect for triggering Berserk, and they don't have it. I don't know why I was thinking of just people having Berserk. We're gonna play the Hellenika game of hoping that none of the AIs spawn as the birds, the Hellenika specific birds, because they make the game take longer. Starting research does not matter for us because we're gonna start with 0 research. But our god has enough research to get us into Blood 1, which is what's relevant in the first turn. Research. And we're going right to Blood 4. Blood 1 turns on our Imp Horde, which is going to be critical for our Kohen expansion. Blood 2 is mostly on our way to higher things, but Agony is a great follow-up. And again, you can see Agony for Hinnom is no slaves required. Summon Serum is our big draw at Blood 3, and then Hellfire and Bloodlust, and then maybe Summon Shedim is going to be our follow-up at 4, and this is where we're going to try and punch in and take over somebody else's stuff. So we're going right up to Blood 4. We're going to profit our first guy, just to help our first expansion. We're actually going to leave our scout at home. The reason to do that is because sometimes you want them to ferry out additional blood slaves to our Kohen. And so I think that is useful. You don't necessarily need to do it every time you do this, though. So there's some question of how useful that is versus having that scout sort of go out and do stuff. We're extremely gold limited at the beginning of this, but it's actually not going to be so bad because we don't recruit a ton of stuff as we advance in turns, and the mail cards do generate quite a lot of gold. But we're going to just get 2 light infantry to help out our expansion party. So we're going to start this way. Now, this is a pretty unfortunate start because this build really relies on having a wasteland. And the nearest wasteland is a throne, and this one, which is on the other side of a river. The build really doesn't work without a wasteland. So I would definitely say if you're going to try this, you need to look at the map first, if it's posted, and figure out how many starting spots don't have a wasteland. We're actually just going to restart this one, just so that we can show it with the wasteland. But figure out how many slots don't have a wasteland, because if it's too high, you're just going to be abundantly sad when you don't spawn it with one. And then it's going to look like my Baratos game when I'm running halfway across the map trying to find a wasteland and then dying, which is no good. We don't want that. Okay, I'll have to look at the enchanter then, because 40 points is definitely worth it. Make sure that's one of the ones we can get access to. Yeah, I definitely want to go back to Pretender Creation. Perfect, now we've got one. Once we just do a little bit more testing here to sort of give some people a chance to see what it is we're on about. Because I think that there's a lot of room to improve the Bless, such as it is. And yeah. So for anybody who didn't catch the last time I streamed this, with Hellenika, you can have your Kohen do expansions all by themselves using imps. Okay, we're actually going to wait 1 turn on that, though, because we got the Fire Blood, which is the random we really want. That's going to let us make these Quillapothic, I have no idea if that's how you pronounce that, lights. Blood 1, Blood Searcher 1. Size required 4 at a cost of a single gem. And we're actually just going to have that be a monthly foraging. This helps our expansion quite a bit overall. It makes our dudes a lot tougher. It means that they can blood hunt with success, not counting the under 5,000 or the unrest, but it means that they count as a blood 3, so they can't fail just for having too low of blood, which is pretty nice. I like to just throw everybody into a line, and then they're gonna hold. I like to have them all hit at about the same time rather than try and have the javelins and time it, but Yeah, Hellenika has a lot of really cool buffs for a lot of nations. And this one I do think is neat for Hinnom. It's always so I tried Hellenika Hinnom once before I really had even started doing much. It was before these buffs and before I'd thought of this sort of plan, and I got squashed on like turn 10. So we're trying to avoid something like that happening um, in another game. Um, the most important priority is getting access to money and getting access to the wasteland. You don't particularly care about resources. The other thing to consider is can your party which things can your troops take that your mage can't? And so like on this, our mage is definitely capable of taking this one, and then these two are iffy. So I'm gonna send up here. This is also kind of iffy. So we're gonna send this guy up here first. The Avites. I'm not gonna go through every Hinnom or every Hellenika change, but like the Avites have also been buffed. These are our Avites, in terms of their health, so they survive a lot longer. I think that if you're gonna eat people, you need to be just on hell scales and rolling out. I think Zan had done some math. It's really inefficient long term, like tremendously inefficient. So you sort of need a plan to make that work. You could also potentially have a longer game plan and just plan on eating them at very specific moments, or in enemy lands or in dying lands. I guess we can watch this real quick, but mostly we're just going to have our guys get sermoned up, and they're going to run in, and they're just going to beat the crap out of these guys. They can die. They're not like super armored. Actually, we lost 4 this time against 50 dudes. Usually they do a little bit better than that, but okay, these are both super takeable by our other troops, so we're going to send in these guys over here. So now what we can do is... So this, let's see, there's how many over here? Only 10? Okay. So for anybody who hasn't seen it, this is sort of what this expansion looks like. We're going to do a summon import. And then in this case, we're going to do reinvigoration. Yeah, it's pretty cool. And that was when, I think we talked about it, was like right when the Quapothic Light, or how are you going to pronounce it again, came out. So I hadn't had a chance to do it like a ton. So this guy with 4 slaves. The annoying thing is their scales troops are pretty good too. I think the problem with their scales troops is just that in Hellenika, so many things are so strong that you're like, yeah, they get some troops, they're pretty all right, and then you just get like crushed. Which can be a little okay. We can't actually make it because this is a gross swamp, and these are forests. So let's instead do. What we're gonna do is we're gonna utilize our scout here. The problem when you put the light on is that they will eat a second blood slave to cast the second imps, which will cause them, which is just inefficient. So instead, import reinvigoration. Cast spells. So instead, what we'll do is put 2 on here, and then we're gonna give this guy 2, and he's just gonna go with just hide out and ferry those slaves along. So anybody else? Okay. So yeah, this is why we didn't move him out right away. Now we don't have enough money early to be putting out regular expansions as well. So that's one of the real downsides of obviously these kind of hellicious scales. We're pretty all in on the Kohen expansion, and because we need them to then sort of move into our next phase. But again, once you get the first Melkart going, he starts generating 200 plus income a turn, which goes a long way. Now, you can only do that for so long, of course, before your whole population has been consumed, but it helps. So yeah, so if nobody's seen it, this is what expansion with these guys looks like. It is generally reliable against 30 to 40 sort of medium troops. And it gets risky, fast forward, it gets risky against more than that or against better troops. Like this guy's a problem who's busy running, I just pointed at the screen like an idiot, who's busy running across the screen. Now our Kohen is pretty powerful. He blessed himself up, so he's got regen. So as long as he doesn't get overwhelmed in melee, he's probably not going to win. And you can see the imps went ahead and took him out. This is on the high side. This was a high roll versus what I had seen in the scouting report. Yeah, I think the special pillage, you need a plan for it. I don't think it's just like good to. You're not just like, oh, I'm in a province, I'm gonna pillage it. I just don't think that is gonna work out. So heavy infantry are a little harder for our imps. So that's where we like to have our first starting party sort of take care of some of them. Lose anybody? Yeah, we lost 2. This party's getting pretty beat up. We're down to like 9 guys, but they can still keep on trying. So here we'll go ahead and give this guy his blood slaves, and we'll send him into the next province. Send the scout back. We'll take this guy. We're gonna give him some blood slaves. What is he up against? Got 20 heavy infantry, 40 mixture. I think we'll go ahead and send him with just 3 blood slaves, because he's only going to get essentially one expansion before he's got a blood hunt. Because it's a little bit riskier on this go. So he's going to do imps. I'm going to put him on conservative magic gem usage, but it doesn't matter. He's going to eat them anyway because his fatigue will get too high. And then reinvigoration, and then cast spells. And he's in the back, and he's going to go deal with this. This going down here. We're up to 147. So what you want to watch for is the turn when you can make a Melkart instead of a Kohen. You can also, I would like to wait, once the first Melkart comes out, I think I would like to do this. I don't want to do it before. But you do want to watch, wow, everybody's a wolf trap shaman. You want to watch for the turn when you can pull out a commander and sit him on your capital. Your capital is going to generate some unrest from the Kohen, who are chilling, and then eventually the Melkarts. So it's nice to get a little bit of chaff going and just patrolling down your capital, just to make sure that effect is minimized. Okay, let's see what we got. This is just our regular troops. So you can see we're down to just 8 of them. So this is like our 3rd or 4th expansion from our starting army. This guy's in trouble, yeah. They're sort of, yeah, when they get sort of on the edges is when they're in real trouble, but you can see they continue to do a pretty darn good job. Sometimes, yeah, you can get some weird troops, like a mage here. I think that we don't really care about that mage, although there are others that can be problematic. For the most part, our imps, though, are just going to pick off, yeah, everything. And this was the larger party. Okay, it ended up not being so large. I think this was the one that I thought was larger. There are some heavy infantry who can be a little tricky. So you can see basically our Kohen, after he's done with his first round, is going to turn himself into a lifelong protection, and he's just going to summon an imp every turn. So you can see our expansion is fine. This is not the lightning expansion you'd get with good scales, where you can add the Kohen onto already good expansion. This is yeah, the Windmaster ones can be brutal. This is just like this is just like adding a little bit to what you sort of could already do. Let's see, it's 30 guys. Yeah, we can try them. So unfortunately, I don't think, yeah, he can't quite make it. We're going to give this guy blood slaves, though, as a backup, because this guy's unlikely to find any. There's only 20 province, or only 20 strength there. And he's going to need, he probably only needs 1, actually, to beat this. Let's get really greedy. Put 2 back. Put 2 on this guy. Give him a light. Double imp, cast spells. Gotta make sure to put in the back corner. I have forgotten that before, and they just die, and it's very sad. The Jade Amazons, I don't think they can take. I don't think he can take them. Heavy infantry and slingers. Heavy infantry and militia. Let's try. Like this, so right now this is super safe. The question is whether or not it's overkill. We can also, you know what, it probably is overkill, but what we can do is just don't do this and just have him cast summon imps. And he'll just support, and then he'll have some blood slaves ready, and he can either go and assist with something else. I think is actually what we should do. So you definitely have to, with this, be very aware of what, excuse me, what you can and can't take, and how efficiently you can sort of deal with it. Because that is, we found 8 in the Valley of Legends. Yeah. So there's some heavy infantry here. The imps, though, right, are going to help disrupt formation. Draw fire. Oh, geez. That is very dangerous. Oh, goodness. I guess we killed them faster than they killed us. We lost 100% of our attacks. It's unfortunate. Oh, we definitely messed up. I should have been doing this. I missed a turn here. Yeah, I'm not sure how much delay there is on my thing. So I think definitely the Kohen and the starting army can take the Jade Maidens. The question is just what can we be more efficient? Because this guy here with the Kohen definitely will pull it off. And I think this can do here. So in this case, Asphodel has gotten onto our wasteland. That is something that absolutely we can't tolerate. It is just not going to work out for us. We're gonna wait for we're gonna get some extra troops here, I think. You can do a mixture of these. We have no resources, so you sort of have to use these Horites, who also got buffed in Hellenika. So it's not quite as bad as it might normally be to use them. Yeah, you definitely want the Jades. Yeah. We're a little behind some of my other tests in terms of getting a fort up, etc., and getting our first mill card out. This guy researching isn't great. Cynocephalians are difficult. That's 40 guys. That's 40 guys. 20 barbs. He might be able to take 20 barbs. Barbs are tricky as well. Barbs will chop through the imps. This is definitely a bit of a test. Because the barbs can be quite dangerous. Can they reach? Yeah, he can reach. The Kohen also have excellent movement, which is really nice. As giants, they have 22 map move, so they can often reach a lot of different provinces. I guess give this over to him just in case. So in this case, right, we'd have to sort of go to war with Asphodel probably sooner than we really want to get back this province. Or you could try and negotiate or whatever. You could also be... this is sort of a test, so I didn't do it as aggressively as I could have, but you can more aggressively pitch for... Okay, this did not work. Let's see what happened. So we made a bunch of imps. We have a lot of blood slit. Oh, no, he's still on. Okay, one of them's not on. I didn't rescript. Okay, well, then that is very bad. It's definitely going to contribute to it not working. Although, yeah, there's just too many extras. Yeah, if I'd done it right, I think we probably could have gotten them. So, that's my bad. One there. We did beat the barbs. Let's see how close it was. See, right, the barbs just cut through our imps, but they take a lot of damage in the process. I don't think we're killing the commanders. We're just gonna, yeah, we're just gonna win. Yeah, not enough imps. Province was lost. The people have revolted. What? Against my benevolent rule? That is outrageous. Don't understand that at all. Okay, we're gonna go take this from Asphodel. Here, there's only 20 left. I think we can do this. Let's This guy's out of blood slaves, and I didn't give him a light. Let's go ahead and send him back. How are we doing on our milk cart? We're getting there. Make a scout here so we can go. We're going to look to fort and lab and temple this wasteland. A lot of our provinces are going to end up at 0 population anyway, and our scales make all of our income terrible. So it's more important to hold on to the wasteland, I think, than it is to... we actually already have a scout, so we don't need to... Well, scouts are useful. We'll recruit the scout anyway, but we can leave this guy here. I don't particularly remember sending him there, but oops. I think with the correct script, they would have beaten those Jade Maidens. So that's just kind of a whoops. This party's getting so low, it's down to 5 dudes. We defeat the centaur. Okay. So now, I guess we need to add some PD. Be very sad about it. Now we need to go and eat population. We have death everywhere, but it looks like this actually has a death. Oh no, sorry, we have growth everywhere. This one has an actual death site. We're gonna go ahead and we'll move our guy in here. The chance of getting diseased isn't that high, and we want to eat this population before it entirely disappears. Let's see, we don't have... Yeah, we want to keep our milk carts going because the milk carts are basically our economy. So we'll just go ahead and blood hunt here. This group, can just take those out. I mean, we're just about, there's still definitely some expansion to be done here, but we would take this guy up here as well. We need to get, one milk cart produces enough blood slaves for 1 Kohen to make serum. Sort of in general. Send our scout out, I guess. And that's fine. And again, this could really, I'm kind of playing quickly. You could clean this up. This is sort of a proof of concept to some degree. But you can see, again, our starting army is still sort of trucking along. Okay, so this guy is going to pillage. I had never learned the pillage command before testing this. We're going to start, so we have blood 3 done, so we're going to go ahead and start... We're still going to go ahead and start our palisade, though, just because it's going to take a little bit longer. Start blood hunting. Move this guy up. Look to maybe take that out. I don't know in general if you're going to be... I don't think you're going to be the biggest coming out of expansion. The question is, so I think this build is going to be vulnerable to like a turn 10 all-in or rush by someone. Okay, so here's our first Melkart pillage. So you can see that Melkart got 260 gold, as well as 32 blood slaves. And the cost for that was 850 dead population. So obviously 850 is quite a lot, but this is why we have our 1 growth, is for these events. The rebirth events, 280 population. So you figure, like 4 of these, right, give you 1 of these. Again, I'm not sure if that's worth it. I went ahead and put it in this time, but we'll see. Let's see. Okay, so we're going to keep making our milk cart, building our palisade. We're going to keep blood hunting because we haven't got enough money to do anything else. Go ahead and try to take that out. Yeah, there are a ton of nations that want to rush in Hellenika. You're not totally defenseless. With this many blood slaves, you can put out a huge number of imps, and you can buff them with what's its face? Bloodlust. So I don't think you're totally vulnerable. It's definitely a risk, though. But, I'm not sure what else you can... Like, even if you were scales, right? The things that are going to kill you could definitely still potentially kill you. Asphodel started in a swamp. It's probably not where it's supposed to start. Round 12 appears to be a big one for this battle. Didn't capture any blood slaves. We lost 2 swords, and we're down to... We've really... Oh, there was an Azure guy here again. You can see this time our milk cart got 160 gold, so less gold. So I said about 200 on average. But this time we got more blood slaves, right? This is 21, 31, 42 blood slaves. You lose even more population. Oh no, this is a temperature event. The pillaging, the standard pillaging kills more population and gets some gold, but it's generally very little. Yeah, you definitely. I think that people would be concerned. Like I don't know who sees a Hellblessed Hinnom and is like, yeah, that's what I'm after. The only thing that might trigger them is Sloth 3. Like, you cannot possibly be putting out a whole lot of ref fights on Sloth 3. Let's see. Move it here. Here, we're going to go ahead and get our lab going. Don't quite have enough for a temple yet, but that's okay because we can't recruit anything anyway. We're just gonna try and milk this little party down to the last little nub. Oh, finish our research. I'm not sure yet what is the immediate follow-up once you get Blood 4. There's a lot of good options, right? You could go Alteration to help your milk carts have some buffs. Conjuration would give you access to the powers and small elementals, and then eventually large elementals. Construction would again help you thug. If you have air gems, you can maybe help your research out with quills. But searching kind of sucks on this build, because we need all of our mages for doing stuff early on. Enchantment, Strength of Giants you don't really need because you already have the blood one, and I think they don't stack. Thaum, I don't think you necessarily need. And you definitely don't need Evocation because you're going to use Hellfire. I think you want Alteration, but I haven't. That part is less. I've not fully determined that yet. So you can see our income is garbage, right? Like, we'll wait for it to come back up. It's like 500 or something. It's truly horrific. But your milk carts are going to generate a lot of income as you start getting them up. So like we got here another 200 gold and another 34 blood slaves. We got them again. Yeah, agreed. I think you're helping. I think you want to help your milk carts out. I can't believe that this party was successful. I think we're gonna. Oh no, they're trapped. They're trapped by the summer. Well, I guess they're gonna stay there for now. Here we can start pillaging. Here we can construct our temple, and we're gonna start casting our serum. You can see we've already got 120 blood slaves, and that's only going to go up from here as we send. So you should probably do more picking of provinces correctly as well, which I'm not doing here. But so it's turn 12. And we've got serum production started. And the great part is that it ramps up pretty quickly. But you can see this is why I think it's vulnerable early. A little bit early. We've got 144 and then another 2737 blood slaves. Yeah, this is just we're just doing the serum, basically. Another 300 gold. So you can see, right, we got more gold, just about as much gold in events as our actual income, and our treasury is up to 1040. So we can go right into our giant fortress. We can start. I like to produce, not these guys, a mixture of these because they're really resource. Actually, we have a ton of resources. I guess we captured a lot of forests on this. You can start to produce your useful troops. You already have magic weapons, so you don't need the Dawn Guard as much. I kind of like just, let's see, you can produce like a handful of spearmen, or you can produce a bunch of each of these. Using up all your recruitment, and then you can start having these guys. These guys have nets, which will help out. And you can just sort of mix these in and eat some losses. I'm not 100% sold on this part of it yet. Yeah, I gotta get my Seir. This part I'm not totally sold on, but they're gonna help you siege stuff down as well. You do need to be watching your guys. This is the last one we're gonna get out of the Greater Wild. If you eat the population down to 0, you get nothing. So we're gonna eat this, and then we're gonna bounce out of this province. This guy can start to do a monthly serum summon. We're gonna start recruiting Kohen. Oh, we've used up too much gold on our garbage. So we're gonna wait for that. This is down. We did lose, right, a couple of Kohen in expansion because we were sort of testing them out against the Shadebanes, and I misscripted them. Ideally, you would not do that, and you'd have 2 more Kohen here who are also going to be able to summon. So the question, right, is what turn do you need these on, and is this fast enough? And I think it's close, but it might not work. On the bright side, if anybody, if I get to try this in a game or anybody else tries it in a game, if you're gonna lose, you're gonna lose really fast, and you can just immediately queue up to go to the next game. So 140 gold there, ton of blood slaves, 230, 130, ton of blood slaves. So this province is out of people, so we have to move. Our treasury is a nice, healthy 500, even with a milk cart being produced. We're summoning up our dudes. You can see in this case, right, because we lost those Kohen, we're behind on our Kohen production, and so we're behind on our Serum production. That's currently, right, this is the limiting force. Now, that's going to help get better as this fortress finishes. I think, definitely in a real game, I'd be a little more concerned about it in the sense that you could take a turn off of milk carts to make, a pair of Kohen to help get this started, and that's probably ultimately something that you would want to try and do. But in this case, that's too much micro. Can't be bothered. Somebody claim something. Let's see where we're at. 280 and 5,000. Pillage. This is going to get another monthly. Oh, we got to get a light on here. We actually probably have enough lights. What we should do is just move this guy up. That actually is very reasonable. Monthly summon serum. So this, I think that this is definitely not the best test I've had. We're at 25 serum on turn 15. We're currently producing another 15 a turn. And over the next couple turns, that's going to go up to 25, 30, 35 serum every turn. And these guys are pretty, these guys are kind of blessed to the gills. Attack skill, magic weapon, shock resistance, fire resistance, defense, undying, regen, blood bond, and combat speed. Trying to take advantage of our awake pretender for a couple of cool incarnates. So it's not gone. Scouts. Oh, the scout's gone. Done the whole gambit. It'd be really nice if we could get our profit back. So I just have, this is just like a generic map that I generated on Map Nuke or whatever. And it's the most annoying river system in like all the starting spots. There's so many rivers. Okay, so you can see we're just burning down our population, but our treasury is only going up, up, up. Got another milk cart. Send another milk cart out. Pillage, 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 pillage. 40 serum. So, okay, we're gonna wait like 2 more turns. Oh, we finished some alteration research. I'm trying to think of what the best, probably construction at this point. Your serum are not armored, so they're not going to get any benefit from like Legions of Steel, which is a bit sad. Here we could probably look to go put another fort up, but I think right, you sort of are willing to bank up some amount of gold because you're gonna go try and take other people's forts, right? Like, I don't think you want to necessarily spend every penny you have every turn if it's not going to be particularly valuable. Uh, just because you will. Oh, we got to move on. You will burn through your cash, and I think have a hard time potentially getting more. He needs a light. He needs a light. So we are at 300 blood slaves. We're behind. You know, we have so few. Our Kohen problem is such that we're just racking up a huge number of extra blood slaves. We're producing 25 serum a turn. Okay, 4 commanders is too many. Let's see, is anybody? Hello, just like scouts and stuff. Ah. So, and again, I think, what is going on? Turn 100. What is the AI up to? Still going. Some villains failed. So like, let's just we're at 80 serum on turn 18, so it's it's okay. But let's just for sort of giggle's sake, I do think we need to add some undead command because we don't really have enough. Just for again, for sort of giggle's sake. I just want to show what these guys are capable of. So I think most of them are going to do Blessing, Import. Actually, although this guy should probably do... We have some luck available, so let's do Blessing, Luck, cast spells. We want to make sure we got enough blessings off. Again, we want to do... This one's going to do Blessing, Summon, Import. Cast spells. We're going to have a couple of those. This one will again do a little bit more luck. One of these summon import guys is going to then do a bloodlust. And then we also want some of them on advance and cast. And they're going to go and do hellfire after the fact. All of our serum needs to be on hold. Again, if you're really going to like do this, you should go and get a Melkart to lead these guys. And again, we should add some a little bit of extra leadership. Here's just to show what they look like. Also, obviously the laziest scripting of all time, but... So once they are... Okay, that one didn't get blessed. So, blessed up. 7 protection's pretty low, but 28 hit points. Regen. Great morale, great MR, decent MR for at least this stage of the game. Eventually, you're certainly going to want anti-magic to back him up. 16 strength, 17 attack, 14 defense. This is before Berserker triggers. Yeah, Water Mage would be nice. That's the one path Hinnom has no access to, so we'd have to go get those Jade Maidens. And in a real game, definitely, I think that's worth it. 3 attacks at 17, 17, 16, at 16 damage apiece. Again, pre-Berserk. All right, okay. So then, more blessings. There goes blood. Okay, we definitely... Oh, we didn't give anybody any... we didn't give anybody any blood slaves. That would be why they're not doing imps. Let's see, did anybody get injured here? Yes. So this guy's gone Berserk. 21, 21, 20, 24 attack, 11 protection, and he's got blood bond regen. So they're just gonna shred everything. Yeah, and they're out of here. I don't know why they all turned it back a second there. We managed to lose a Kohen. Must have been a... How did we lose a Kohen? Oh, the blacks... Okay, lazy scripting is how we lost a Kohen. The Black Center managed to run around. And before we could burn them all to death. Alright, well, it's pretty unfortunate. Again, clearly lazy scripting, I think, in a different Context, we might not have lost them. We have to leave some Sayer behind. But so be it. Again, just sort of a random show of the Sayer. And again, I should, normally you'd have a bunch of imps that come with you. The tricky part of Berserk with Blood Bond, potentially, is that they can run in not fully solo, but they may not have all their buddies with them. Yeah, we lost nobody. Now, you do have some siege issues, which is why I think you'd consider it, if you're paying more attention, adding these Horites, or even... the Horites fight badly, but okay. You could add the Enkidu slaves, who are great siege staff, but if they're on the battlefield, will just die. That's true. It doesn't do a ton. I just liked it because of regen, so you're sort of getting 2 hit points per point instead of some of the other stuff. But yeah, I mean, they have a lot of HP already. It just potentially helps keep a couple of them chugging along. And the thing with Death is that there's not anything else I really want in Death, but yeah, we should definitely add some Undead Command. So that is, yeah, so we're on Asphodel's capital. There's nothing Asphodel can do. Realistically, it's a computer, whatever, but the Serum are quite strong. I think we finished burning some of this stuff down, so we would need to be more active in moving. But we've amassed a huge treasury that we can use to continue to build infrastructure, summon Kohens. We have 700 blood slaves on turn 20. I think the next question is there another way to abuse our blood slave production? In addition to our serum. Like, I don't, devils and frost fiends, we can't even make frost fiends, but in terms of binding devils, I think serum are certainly better. They're much more efficient, they're sacred, that's what we're after. You can make Liliths, which are assassins. Let's just summon a Lilith, because I honestly don't remember precisely what they do. Because I know they get changed in Hellenika. 100 blood slaves obviously is still quite a lot. But maybe it's well, let's check the chest and see if it's something you could consider if you're engorged on blood slaves as we are. You clearly have enough blood slaves. You can send it with all of the... You can afford to send lots of blood slaves with your army, so they can do lots and lots of imps. Okay, a Lilith is a nature 1. Stealthy, demon, dream seduction. You could maybe impress somebody. It would be pretty funny. I think you're better off waiting around for the Sayer, because you're not going to be that much faster impressing them. But... So, the question with Dormant is, can we get enough research to get up to Blood 4? Because yeah, you don't need the Bless for the expansion at all, but you do need Blood 3 before you can start summoning the Serum, and I think you want Blood 4 before you can fight, or before you really want to fight. But we could look at a dormant option as well, just because every one of your mages is kind of busy being used in the expansion. But we could look into that. It does obviously give a lot of extra points. But yeah, I don't think you're going to be able to realistically start summoning any Serum until you have that God online to do the research for you. And it takes the god, in this case, right, we could look, other gods may have other, if it was Dormant, right, it probably has more magic paths, we give it more blessed stuff, so it researches a little faster. But our god is pumping out like 70 a turn, 75, I think, because that's an experience star. And getting blood takes, what is it? It takes 50 to get to the first one. Oh, that's the other problem. If you go Dormant, we can't take Drain, because you might not be able to get Blood 1 at all. And then your Kohen expansion doesn't work. Now, maybe you have enough extra stats, extra scales that you can make your other expansion work. It's definitely something to play around with. But yeah, I wouldn't say we're awake for the Incarnate. We're awake for the research. And the Incarnate is just sort of, there. But it's I think I think it's potentially worth testing to see if you could sort of figure it out. I don't think that these Liliths are worth 100 blood slaves. That just seems insane. And I think, yeah, I think it could be worth trying. I think that I thought you could get the Liliths later, but I guess not anymore. Let's see at Blood 5 if there's anything. So you could also get the Shedim. The problem with the Shedim is that your only way, yeah, they don't seem great to me. The only way to get air blood is to empower an air random Ami, which is a 1 out of 4, and they're not large enough to use the special Hinnom items, so you need lots of items. So I don't think that we're going to be able to add any Shedim to our production factory early on. You get, at Blood 5, you get Hellbind Heart at no blood slaves. And it's only 2, level 2 blood. So it's going to have a fatigue cost of, 25 or something if you're having your milk carts do it. So that's pretty insane. You could also go for big bloodletting plays, as that one is made cheaper as well. In terms of spending it, you could try and... What else? Bind Demon Knight. Let's see. Yeah, you just don't have... I don't think you have money other ways besides Serum and Imps early to sort of really spend your blood slaves. It is also very possible. A giant amulet would probably work. I don't know what research that is, though. I'm not saying you should never go for it, right? And you could maybe do the giant amulet to get there, but I don't think it's part of our rush strategy. I don't think that is a way to spend this 600 blood slaves we've acquired here. But also we have 3,000 gold, right? So it looks like really you should probably be creating more forts to produce more Kohen, to produce more Seir, and you're just trying to drown the world in Seir as quickly as possible. And you got to defend your wasteland with your life. Construction 4, yeah. So I definitely think that could come up eventually, but I think not going to help us in our rush. What else? So yeah, I'm interested in sort of trying this. Let's go out of the game screen and go to the bless. Or go to the build. Yeah, the shed would be really cool. I just don't think you just don't have the right casters to get them online early. So what somebody mentioned earlier, I think it was the enchanter would save points. So let's look at the enchanter. So I think on this last go around, we were something like this: 5, 4, 3, 7, 5. Awake, and then all scales go to maximum number of points, and then we add back in our growth to keep that that extra little bit of rebirth online. The rebirth definitely is going to take some more math to figure out how many turns it takes to be useful. And again, it needs to trigger 5 times, and it's only 40% at best because we're a really low Dominion build. Because I don't think we want to be spreading our Dominion if we can help it too much. So it definitely may not be worth it. It's a lot of buildup. And if you instead just do this, I actually personally kind of like Misfortune 2 as a value point here instead of Misfortune 3, but I'm very up to interpretation on that one. So I think we had attack skill, swiftness, defense, fire and shock resistance, magic weapons. I think I want an undead command for sure. Plus 20 means that our Kohen have 30 leadership. And I think plus 50 means that we have more than enough. I don't think we need, yeah, 50 leadership is more than enough. I don't think we need to take another point of that. Regen and blood bond. So doing it this way and getting rid of our growth means we still have 174 points. One thing I was worried this build is missing potentially is we don't have any bonus strength on the build, but adding it is really expensive. You know, getting up to Earth 8 costs the rest of our points for just like +2 strength. It's easier. It's about the same on blood, again, for just the +2 strength. The areas where we could look to add more value are these lower paths, right? So if you go, you could add more death for more undying. You could do Stygian flesh. So Stygian flesh, not good overall. Like in general, it can be difficult to make it work. People are going to have magic weapons, and then it doesn't do anything. On the other hand, adding 10 invulnerability early is going to do a lot to keep our Shedim alive, or our Serum alive, but so does regen and blood bond. So I don't think that's the answer. Yeah. I don't like Stygian flesh, and I don't think, you know, I don't really like withering weapons. Reforming flesh doesn't work for I just don't think death is the answer of where we want to put our bonus points. We could add, you know, another swiftness, or we could add another point of defense. Like if we looked at water, you could look to add an aura. Can't do quickness, obviously. Frost weapons. You have a lot of attacks, but for the most part, right, you're sort of just adding. If people have any resistance, that's not going to do very much. You can just add more defense. Prot 11 when berserk. Okay. That's right. And I guess it doesn't stack. Or I don't know how. I'd have to look. I don't know exactly how. To be honest, I don't know how every mechanic works. Yeah, you could look to add more defense. So you could add. Can't add frost weapons. If you look at more air, you'd be adding another swiftness. No stacking. Okay. No stack. Okay, unnatural proc. Got it. You could do thunder weapons. Maybe. If you could shave a point somewhere. Because yeah, it's 7 points. Thunder. I know thunder weapons are good for Nazca, but Nazca also wants, and they've got like lots of sacreds, but Nazca also likes it because they want to have a high air potentially for condors. So this you do have 3 attacks, so you have 6 attacks per square. Could be good, maybe. You lose out on the swiftness. And you'd have to sacrifice, you'd have to find one more thing to drop because we're at -2. Which would probably have to be like the attack skill. Yeah, quickness would be cool, but it's just so much. You need magic 1, right? Like, so that, you know, quickness is going to cost us, let's see, 160 points, and then it's, what is it? Was it water 10? Water 10. Yeah, okay. And then, so drop that. Yeah. And then you get Oh no. You still need another. We still need another bunch. Oh, drop. Could drop air down a lot, obviously. Quickness, region, blood bond. Okay, I think you definitely. I think you definitely want magic weapons, though. I think this is not. This is. It's. You can get an extra point of dominion, although I don't know if you actually want that extra point of dominion. Um, you could drop luck as well if you need another 40 points. 54 more points. Just shy of getting something else. I mean, I think this is definitely an option. Yeah, +2 to the attack and defense, move twice as fast, attack twice as fast, gives you a ridiculous number of attacks per square. And the Sayer do have good base stats, and putting out 6 attacks per turn at 30 morale. We have magic weapons in the nation, but with this build, I don't know if we actually have magic weapons in the nation. Just because we're gonna have so little. I don't know. I think we're ultimately not gonna have a lot of resources, right? We're gonna have a hard time building them up, and I think we're sort of all in on the Sayer. But if you dropped magic weapons, you have 136 points. What do you do with those? Yeah, it does let you harass him down. Could add fire and shock resistance back in. Yeah. I mean, this is certainly scary. um, this does have this. It may not be very relevant. I think this is a very all-in early game bless. You do not have the same abilities to cast like rituals and stuff, right? And have some extra diversity. Yeah, no. That's what I'm looking for. I definitely don't know what's best either. This is certainly taking full advantage of the incarnate status we'll have by the time we attack. Love the resistance. I mean, quickness is insanely expensive, but we're gonna end up with trash scales anyway. So we're sort of let's see. So stat wise, we're about this. I think we have a little bit lower attack, but that's getting twice as many attacks means that's not a problem at all. Have region blood bond. We don't have any undead command, which is kind of a pain in the ass. Just from a micro perspective, right? Because each of those Kohen only hold like 10 Sayer. Melkarts, I want to say, are 45. Yeah, Magic 1 helps. What are these guys? Yeah, 40 undead leadership. So you're going to need to definitely take a lot of Melkarts around with you. On the other hand, you can just go enchant. You can get some early enchantment if you get one of your. Let's see, what is it? One of your Horites. Yeah, get the death one because I think. Is there a way to see the spell book on here? Yes. Yes. Yeah, you could try and get an early revive king to solve your under leadership problem. You have no native death gems, so you'll need to get that Horite shaman going early to get some native death gem or to get some death gems going after site searching. But I think that is certainly an option. Yeah, because we're at 14. We can't take away any more scales to have quickness still work. Magic 1 is helpful. Yeah, I mean, I think this is... Now, is this the best chassis? Do we have a water chassis? I don't think we do. Yeah, we don't have a water chassis. No, we get an extra dominion, I guess. I mean, I think let's yeah. So this would be kind of a It'd be a little bit more finicky to get your troops moved around, but quickness does seem pretty insane. Good resistances. Water is bad for you, but there aren't a ton of big water things that are going to happen to you early. And the Region Blood Bond keep you safe and healthy. I don't know. I think this is a pretty. I love how it has 0 design points left too. This is a pretty sweet take on it as well. Thank you for the suggestions. Let's go ahead and save this guy off just as witness. Just before we lose track of him. Let's just take a quick look and see if there's any other good blesses that we're missing out. We've got the good resistances covered. The other big one, thunder weapons, is I think not as good as quickness. Obviously quickness costs a lot more, but I don't think we need fortitude. We don't need hard skin. Hard skin would be kind of nice, because that should stack with natural protection, one would hope. And what we were at 11 when Berserk, up to 16. We do still have the regen blood bond though, so I don't think that's where we want to go, and I think I'd rather have the resistances. Fate weaving could be a thing. It's not terrible. Don't think we want anything in death. I really like regen. I think we definitely, Berserker's a definite no. Barkskin, I don't know how that stacks. I love me a Blood Surge. I would love to fit a Blood Surge in, but that's Blood 9. Which I don't think we're pulling off with quickness, certainly. We did something like, we went to some kind of insane Blood 9 thing for Blood Bond, Blood Surge, Regen. Let's trash everything. Yeah, because you definitely can't do that with magic weapons, so I'd look more like this. Where does this put us? I still want Iron Shock, and I still want magic weapons. You could still fit a lot of stuff in here. This is surprisingly cheap. Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, I was just sort of thinking about it. I don't think that it's something we really want. You could ditch the magic weapons for fate weaving, but I don't want to do that. I don't. I feel like every time I see anybody talking about stuff, they're like, yeah, it's weak to magic weapons. It's like, if you don't have magic weapons, you need to reconsider what it is you're doing with your life. You could put thunder weapons on this too. Still 28 points left. It's probably not enough for anything. Something like that. I mean, I think this is not as good as quickness. Like, you guys have slightly more attack and etc. after they've killed somebody, but you have to kill the first person to get there. Thunder weapons, I think, would be nice. I think you could. I think the other one's better, but my secrets do already have magic weapons, but not the ones we're using. So I don't know. I don't know. We need a chance. So we're focusing in almost entirely on this build on the Seir, because like with these scales, you're not producing any. You're not producing any of your recruitable sacreds, or even the recruitable non-sacred. Not very many of the recruitable non-sacreds that have magic weapons. This guy costs 53 resources and 130 gold. You are just not affording them with this build. So I think magic weapons are pretty important. for what we're sort of after. I think I like the quickness build better than I like this, but I don't know that this is. I don't know that it's terrible. We have 14 points left over. Could we? Let's see. Yeah, probably need to keep this chassis. Theoretically, what if you did this? Oh God. Um. So I think we had this. So this chassis, doing it for this build. Yeah, that's I no, I agree. I think that you're better. I think does it stun? Do thunder weapons stun? Stunning people can be quite helpful. Um, and it's armor negating. But no, I do think that that's better. I'm just sort of tinkering around because this gives us this chassis on this build gives us a little bit of extra. We could get a whole scale back, or we could add in our undead command so we don't have such a pain in the ass moving everybody around. But ultimately, I like the other one. I think the other one is better. I just wish we could fit undead command on it for like logistics purposes. But sure, okay. Yeah, and anything really worth killing probably has shock resistance. I do think sometimes in modded games, right, people go out and try weird stuff like we were doing here. And sometimes that weird stuff means that they don't have as much room in their builds for just getting the good old fashioned resistances. Like, they're not in it to do they're in it to do something cool or interesting, which again is sort of what we're trying to do here, but not necessarily the mega efficient, imprisoned, elf rainbow bless. But yeah, I think for the most part, people are still going to have a lot of shock resistance. I'm going to save this one, but I think I'm going to call it worse than quickness. Because I like that quickness one a lot. Yeah, exactly. This guy has a little bit worse research than our other gal, but yeah, this should blender some people pretty darn good. It's going to take a little bit. Yeah, he has worse research. It's going to take us a little bit longer to get stuff online, but not that much longer. It should still be online in plenty of time. I don't. Research is definitely. You need the awake researcher to have the correct amount of research, but if we could somehow have like it show up a little bit later for points, right? We would, because we do finish our research before we fight. Yeah, enough to turn one blood on. Exactly. Yeah, Death 3 feels bad. I would I'm not going to disagree with you, Death. But we're just not we're not winning, or we're not looking to play a long game here, right? Like, by the time our income comes from eating our population, and yeah, I'm killing all my own population anyway. We're the baddies. It's you can line up a lot of different nations in Dominions 5. Like, a lot of these guys are bad news, right? Most of the nations are at least a little bit evil. But what we're going for here is like the epitome of bad news. You do not want to live in getting feasted on by Melkart land. Because the Melkart comes at you 3 times on each one of these patrol turns, because he hits you with the giant feast that gives the income, the smaller pillage because that's a thing anyway, and then he also just eats population by being there. Yeah, this would be much better for a shorter game. I think the question is, we had 600 blood slaves on turn 18 or whatever, turn 19. If you can produce enough serum, you might just be able to kill people before there is anything that even looks like a late game. If you don't like really aggressively spread your dominion, yeah, I would agree. This is obviously much better in a shorter game. I don't know that you could win with this in a 16-player game. I think you probably, if you're a competent player or whatever, I could lose anything on any amount of time. But On like a 9-player game, I think this would be pretty disgusting. The problem on a 9-player game is if everybody else is also doing disgusting things and they kill you on like turn 10. Is the other issue. But ultimately, I don't know if this is gonna work. I've never. This is a brand. This change. Excuse me. The change to. Oh yeah, this stuff's great for the thugs too. Milk carts are gonna kick ass. But the change to Hinnom that lets them do this is like 2 or 3 weeks old or something. It's a very new. It's a very new change. So I've never, I haven't had a chance to see anybody play anything like this. So I don't know, I don't know if it'd be good or not. I like one of the things that I am trying to do with some of I was looking at like the Hinnom one, but I've been looking at some of these other Hellenika nations too, is a lot of the base nations have really good builds already sort of figured out. And there's still room to innovate, certainly, but, that's better players are doing a better job of innovating those for the most part. You sort of need to get Games of the Nation under your belt and have a really good understanding of Dominions. Whereas I think with some of these newer Hellenika ones, it's a good chance to sort of like get in there, do weird stuff with it, and sort of figure out, sort of think about it in a different way than just sort of looking up, guides and builds, etc. And then hopefully it can take that thinking, more creative thinking, and transfer it back to the base game, back to the base nations, and try and look at them from a different perspective, and see if there aren't cool little edges or something you can try and sneak out of build design. But yeah, these blesses are great for thugs. Yeah, I mean, a Melkart with quickness, regen, and fire shock resistance is just gonna go murder some people. You got to throw some cold resistance on him. Doesn't get frozen hearted to death or whatever, but would be quite strong. You can see, I've made a lot of different builds for some of these Hellenika games, including like 18 different tries at Macone. But yeah, I think we might be closing in on where we're at here for this nation. I really like this quickness one. I do think that it's better than this guy. This one obviously has the better scales and is trying to get that extra population regeneration from the rebirth events, but I would have to do some math. I think it's just too slow. So, yeah, well, that's because I don't know why. It's the only name that gets auto-generated for the chicken. And so they just all get called the same name because I'm too lazy to name them, because I'm like I like put them in, right, like I build it and then I just go test it right away so I know which one it is, because it's just the one on the bottom of the list. And for those of you who are like, why on earth did you feel the need to put together like 12 different great archons for Macone? The idea is that Macone in Hellenika has 1 command point mages you can recruit, and has access to citadels. I guess his name is Abraxas. Well, there you go. But usually they have more than 1, even for the things that have names, right? They don't, all the sea titans aren't called Poseidon or something. But that's funny. Okay, I mean that makes sense. But anyway, so the idea, this guy has in Hellenika Inspiring Researcher 2, as well as he has his own Adept Researcher 100, but an Alchemist 100. So the idea, right, is you alchemize all your crap, you make a ton of mages, and you do this giant research push. But anyways, yeah, I think I'll go ahead and call it here. I think we've made some great progress. Thank you everybody for your contributions, and hopefully I'll get a chance to join a game with people who have not seen the video and don't know what's coming, and then put it up on the channel. I know Zan has a Hinnom game for Hellenika that he's playing in right now. I don't know if he'll put it up or not, but he certainly does not have this bless, because he is my neighbor, and I can I can see that he does not have this this insanity. I think it's Zan, so I think he has a Titan. But yeah, thanks. Have a good day, everyone.